اللهم إني أعوذ بك أن أشرك بك وأنا أعلم وأستغفرك لما لا أعلم. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We are here tonight. I know that some of you, it's getting late and I don't want to keep you here too long, but I want to say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. This knowledge in Islam, so I'm not going to sit here because that's not how I teach. I'm going to be standing up and I'm going to be getting you guys involved. Okay? In Islam, knowledge is broken down into two types. Two types of knowledge. Does anybody know what they are? Good. Fard. That's the first type of knowledge. Right? And kifaya. So knowledge is broken down into two types. Fard ayn and fard kifaya. Okay? Meaning there's knowledge that every Muslim must know. Every Muslim. Doesn't matter if you're young or you're old, you're rich, you're poor, male, female, it doesn't matter. You have to know this knowledge. It's mandatory. If you're a practicing Muslim, this knowledge needs to be known. And then there's knowledge that is referred to as fard kifaya. What type of knowledge is that? That's a communal type of responsibility. Meaning there has to be some type of people within the community who have this knowledge. Okay? So there's knowledge that is a personal responsibility, and then there's knowledge that is a communal responsibility. Now, which one do you think we're going to be talking about today? Which category of knowledge? Personal. Number one. You have to know this. Just like when you took your shahada, you needed to know what to say. Now you have to know what to do. Okay? So, this is a blessing that we are here tonight. And there's certainly no way that I will be able to finish everything, but I'm going to do my best. Some of you have studied this topic with me and it's taken us years. But what we're doing is we're presenting to you an introduction to this topic. Okay? So, I personally know, he told me how to teach. Personally, looking out here, I know that there are people who know and there are people who don't know. People who know how to do tahara, make tahara, perform tahara, and there's people who don't. And that's fine. That's why we have these sessions. So, if you know how to do tahara, and you've been practicing this in your life, then when you're learning, try and learn in a way where you're not gaining information per se, but you're gaining methodology. A method in how to teach. I remember when I was a student in Medina, sometimes you'd have teachers come in and they would repeat the same thing over and over again. And I didn't find the wisdom of that until after I graduated. Because every time they would repeat something over and over again, I began to train myself and say, okay, well the first time it was for me to gain the knowledge. Retain the knowledge. The second time, it was for me to reaffirm that knowledge. If I heard it a third time, then I was trying to put myself in a position where I was learning how I was going to present it to somebody else. Right? So there's knowledge that you take in, and you try and take it in and understand it for yourself. And then, once you have that understanding, when you hear it, you want to understand it in a way of how am I going to take what is being said and then be able to propagate it or share it with somebody else. So there's never a lost opportunity to learn. Okay? There's never a lost opportunity to learn. And I know the pizza's here and y'all are tripping out because you don't want it to get cold. But hey, that's life. He should have known when to order the pizza. He ordered it way too early, brother. Right? Next time, inshallah, we'll order it halftime, inshallah. Okay? Khalas. There's so much for me to begin with. Let us just have somebody read this for me. Can somebody read that for me? Who wants to read that for me? Yeah, go ahead. Out loud. No, the whole thing. Just read it all.
After successfully completing this module, you'll be able to know the importance of purification in Islam, understand how to perform the ritual actions of wudu, determine which actions break or nullify the wudu. Purification is a very important matter in Islam. One must purify their intention for Allah alone and purify their bodies and clothes before beginning the prayer. Hygiene and cleanliness are very important aspects of a Muslim's life. One must ensure that their body's clothing, place of prayer is free from impurities such as urine, feces, and any other impure substances. After going to the toilet, it is compulsory to wash the private parts with water if it is available and does not cause harm due to injury. For example, it is obligatory to have a full shower known as ghusl after intimate relations between the husband and the wife, after ejaculation by the man due to a wet dream, for example, and upon completion of a woman's menses and post-natal wudu.
Okay. All right. Oh. All right. So, purification in Islam is two types. There's the purification of the soul and purification of the body. And purification is a fundamental component of our faith. I know people who have accepted Islam just because they see the way that the Muslims deal with purification. They say that's something that I can resonate with. Right? A big portion of our faith, it is founded on purity and purification. Okay? So we're not talking about the purification of the heart, but what we're learning has a direct correlation with the purification of the heart. Because there's no way that we can have purity of the heart until we first understand the purity of the body. Okay? All right, guys. Now, purity, when it comes to our faith, is going to fall into one of these two types. There's ritual purity, and then there's physical purity. You guys need to memorize these things. Ritual purity and physical purity. And there's also ritual impurity and physical impurity. Okay? Ritual and physical. Okay? Now, what does ritual mean? Ritual means the purity that is needed in order to perform rituals. Okay? What are rituals in Islam? Go ahead. Prayer. Okay, dua. You could say tawaf around the Kaaba, holding the Quran. These are things that require what? Purity. Okay? So this type of purity is a purity that must be attained in order to perform Islamic rituals. Okay? Physical purity is a purity that must be met when it comes to your body, your clothes, and your place of what? Prayer or worship. Okay? Ritual impurity is a state that prevents you from performing rituals. Physical impurity is also a state that prevents you from performing rituals. So if you want to perform rituals, it's not only about having ritual purity, but it's about having physical purity. Okay? Do we understand? Okay? طيب. Now let me clean up the board here. I'm surprised nobody has any. Y'all ain't gonna memorize nothing. You don't come in here with a pen and a paper. It's like going on a battlefield without a sword and a shield. I'll tell you that right now. Nobody's gonna remember this. But hey, what can you do? You're like that kid who's like, I got one. I know that kid. All right. Ritual. Let's start off with ritual purity. Let me just erase this off. So do we understand ritual purity and physical purity? We understand? Okay, let's start off with ritual purity. All right. In Islam, there are 3 ways for a person to purify themselves. Okay? Wudu, ghusl, and tayammum. Do we understand this? If I want to perform a ritual act of purification, if I'm in a state of ritual impurity, okay, we will talk about what that is, then I have to perform one of these 3 things. Okay? This is minor purity. This is major purity. And this is both. This is both. If you perform wudu, you've performed minor ritual purity. If you perform ghusl, you've performed major ritual purity. If you perform tayammum, depending on your intention, then you would have achieved minor or major. Okay? Now, when would I need to perform minor ritual impurity? This first situation. Any solid, liquid, or gas that comes out of the front private or the back private area will require what? Wudu. Is that understood? Any solid, liquid, or gas that comes out the front or the back, you then require to make wudu. Number 2, deep sleep. If I go to sleep and it's a state of deep sleep, what's the difference between deep sleep and light sleep? Why do I have to put the adjective there, deep sleep? Not necessarily long time.
You lose the ability to remember what happened.
You lose the capacity to hear. So I'll give you an example. I teach a lot of the times at schools, right? So if a kid's in the class and his head's on the desk, and I say, Muhammad, and he gets up like, yeah. Was that a deep sleep or a light sleep? That's a light sleep. But if I'm teaching Muhammad and he is knocked out on his, and I say, Muhammad, he doesn't answer. Muhammad, he doesn't answer. Muhammad, he doesn't answer. He's lost his faculty of hearing in that sleep, which would qualify it as being what? A deep sleep. Right? Sometimes you see maybe the imam's giving a very boring khutbah, and then the imam's finished the khutbah, he says, Aqimu salah, and everybody gets up and that guy's still passed out on the... See it, right? Can he get up and pray? No, he lost his wudu because it was a deep sleep. So a deep sleep would cause you to nullify your wudu. Another position is touching the private area without a barrier. Without a barrier. Okay? So the private area, we understand what the private area of the front and the back is. To touch it with the hand, and what do we mean by the hand? The palm of the hand, the palm, the front part, that would nullify the wudu. Now some scholars, there is a difference of opinion. They will say, no, only touching the private area with what? Lust. With lust would break the wudu. Is that understood? So there is a difference of opinion. There is a difference of opinion. But these are the 3, and there are other things that would say break the wudu. Like they would say, some of the scholars would say, apostasy. You guys know what apostasy is? Apostasy is just somebody leaving Islam. Now, why would somebody leaving Islam break their wudu? Because they're not Muslim. So the prerequisite is no longer there. You understand what I'm saying? So everything is gone. His iman, once his iman comes out, everything that is associated with that iman also what? It also leaves. So that's why they also mention like apostasy. Okay? But for the sake of this class, these are the main things that I'm sharing with you guys. So anything that comes out of the body, solid, liquid, or gas, will nullify your tahara. Okay? Tahara. Tahara meaning purity. Your ritual purity. طيب. Now, ghusl. Ghusl is a major form of purification. After we're done explaining this, I'm going to show you how to do all of these things. Quickly, okay? All right. So wudu, we understand this. Now we look at ghusl. When does somebody need to make ghusl? Okay? Seminal emission. All right. Seminal emission. He's the young one in the class. Huh? All right. Seminal emission. Do we all know what seminal emission is? Seminal emission. Do we understand? If there's any form of seminal emission, all right, let's go through this. Seminal emission could be a wet dream, could have been intimacy between man and woman, could have been whatever it may be. Anytime there is seminal emission from the man, that man has to perform ghusl, has to. He cannot pray, he cannot read the Quran, he should not enter into the masjid until he has what? Purified himself, majorly, right? Major purification. Similarly, a woman's menstruation. Once the woman has completed her cycle and she is now finished and she is certain that her menstruation cycle has ended, before she prays, she would need to what? Perform ghusl. She would need to perform ghusl. Okay? The touching of the two private parts, meaning between man and woman, even if there is no what? Seminal emission. Even if. Yeah? Sorry?
Postnatal bleeding also, right?
Postnatal bleeding. Yeah, we can mention that as well. So postnatal, that will only go for about how many days? Does anybody know? 40 days. Now, let's say for example, if a woman has her menstruation and her regular cycle has ended, but there's still bleeding. And she recognizes that that blood is not what? Menstruation blood. Does that mean she still has to perform ghusl every time she needs to pray? No. If the blood is recognized as not being that of menstruation and it has exceeded your regular cycle, some scholars they say if it exceeds what? 15 days. Then it would become not your menstruation, but a form of sickness, which would mean that her responsibility is only to clean it and then to pray. Understood? She wouldn't have to perform what? Ghusl, because that's not the blood from menstruation. Right? And the same thing goes for what? Postnatal bleeding, right? If it exceeds 40 days, it would no longer be considered that type of menstruation blood or that type of blood, and then she would just need to clean herself for every prayer if she finds the blood being there. I know you guys are like, what the heck is going on here, man? I came here to make this guy's talking about this and that. You have to learn this. This is mandatory. This is knowledge that is mandatory. So, solid, liquid, or gas. What do I mean by solid, liquid, or gas? I mean stool, urine, and gas. We know what gas is, right? Because this is also what? A liquid that comes out. But it doesn't require wudu, it requires what? Ghusl. So we need to clarify that. Is this understood? Okay. Now tayammum, if you want it to be minor, it's because something has happened here. Whereas major, it's because something has happened here. Now tayammum is performed when there is no what? Water. So if there's no water, then you're left with this decision. Right? We will get into that. But what's the purpose of this? The purpose of this segment of the class is for you to understand that ritual purity is a prerequisite to ritual acts of worship in Islam. And I need ritual purity in order to perform these actions. And ritual purity is attained by three means in Islam. Either wudu, ghusl, or tayammum. And we understand what nullifies my wudu. We understand what nullifies what nullifies my purification here, what nullifies my purification here, and what nullifies my purification there. We understand that. And what is required to gain it back. Are there any questions right now? Any questions? Go ahead. Okay, we'll get to that. Do we understand what we've covered here though? Purification, ritual purification, is attained either by wudu, ghusl, or tayammum. Wudu is needed when one of these things occur. Ghusl is needed when one of these things occur. And tayammum is needed depending on your circumstance, whether this happened or this happened. So when you're making tayammum, you would say to yourself, I intend minor ritual impurity. Or you would say to yourself, I intend major ritual impurity. Purification. Is that understood? We'll get into, this will make sense once we learn how to do it. All right. So this is what you would present to someone who knows nothing about Islam and wants to learn about ritual purity. You would say to them, in Islam, there are three main ways to attain ritual purity which will allow you to perform Islamic rituals. These three ways are wudu, ghusl, and tayammum. Wudu is needed under these situations, ghusl is needed under these situations, and tayammum can be used for either one of these situations. Clear? Go ahead.
You just didn't explain the Islam under ghusl.
Oh, that's a good one. Islam, so there is, some of the scholars will mention that when a person accepts Islam, it is highly recommended that they perform ghusl. That's what Islam means over there. They're accepting of Islam, right? They accept Islam. Okay. All right. Can I erase this? Can I erase this? Okay. Now, when it comes to wudu, and it comes to ghusl, and it comes to tayammum, we need to learn how to do it. And when you're teaching someone, especially new in Islam, they're already overwhelmed with everything. And then you tell them, okay, well, there's this way, and there's that way, and there's this, and there's that. You don't want to overwhelm them. So the way you teach them, it has to be the bare minimum, especially at the beginning. Okay? So for me, I'm blessed because I teach in the Islamic schools as well here in the city. And what advantage that gives me is that I'm able to teach little kids. And by teaching little kids, I have learned how to effectively simplify a lot of complex issues when it comes to Islam and the deen. Because that's what you got to do. You got to speak to the people on their level. But then I realize the way I'm teaching them is probably the way I should be teaching everybody else. Right? Some people will be like, he was going like this, and he was dancing, or he was making a song out of it, and it was disrespectful. Like, man, come on, grow up, man. You don't even know how to use the bathroom properly, and you're saying that's disrespectful? Come on, you don't know how to clean yourself properly, you're using the bathroom? That's what's disrespectful. You understand? So, how do I teach a kid how to do wudu? I'm going to teach you how to do wudu. And the way I'm teaching you, if you take it as a form of, well, I already know, then take it as a form of, this is how I'm going to what? Teach. Okay? So wudu, it consists of maybe like almost like 12 steps. That's hard for a person to what? Remember and follow and do it. So what do? This is wudu. 1, 2, 3. Hands. 1, 2, 3. That's wudu. That's wudu. 1, 2, 3. Hands. 1, 2, 3. Like, that's easy. That's so easy. 1, 2, 3. Hands. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now everybody with me now. Yeah, you think you're going to get away with this? You think you're going to get away with it? I don't care. You come to my class, you're going to do it. Okay, I don't know how to make wudu, brother. Come here, man, right now. Yeah. That's what we're going to do. Assalamu alaikum, brother. All right, so I just accepted Islam, but I learned that I have to make wudu, as they say. Huh? Wudu. You guys know wudu? So they say wudu, right? Allah was like wudu. I go wudu. Can you teach me how to do wudu, please?
Okay. This is how you do wudu. You go 1, 2, and then something about the face.
Yeah.
And your hands.
Yeah.
And your head.
Yeah.
And then you.
Okay, yeah. You're doing like a TikTok dance, bro. Sit down, man. All right, I'm going to show you something. 1, 2, 3. Mouth, nose, face. Take the water, wash my hands. Washing of the hands is a sunnah. Okay? It's not the fard. It's a sunnah. But you wash your hands. Because where's the water going? In your mouth. Come on. Right? You wash your hands. Okay? Take the water in your mouth. How many times? Minimum 1. Why is minimum important to know when we're using tahara, when we're doing tahara? Shortage of water. Also possibly like the prayer time is what? Close. It's all going to end. I got to finish, right? So minimum once, maximum 3. So mouth, water in the mouth, spit it out. Minimum once, maximum 3. Nose, put it in my nose, breathe it in, blow it out. Minimum once, maximum 3. Face, minimum once, maximum 3. Now face, you see people get lazy with their tahara. This is not how you wash your face. Put water like this. You wash your face like this. Right? From here, the hairline, to the bottom of the chin, and from this portion of the ear to that portion of the ear. Sisters, big problem with the sisters is that they don't pull their hijab back up to their hairline. So what do? You just wash your face. You still have about an inch. That's where you're making sujood aslan. Right? So when a sister is making wudu, she needs to make sure if she's in a public area and she has her hijab on, that she's pulling her hijab what? Back to the hairline. In order for her to properly fulfill that pillar of the wudu. Is that understood? Okay. There's a lot of people who make mistake in wudu. And there's going to be some Muslims here today. And what I could do is I could bring them up right here and show you that they're going to make a mistake, but I'm not going to put anybody on blast right now. You could be a Muslim for about 15, 20 years, and you've been doing wudu wrong the whole way. And it happens at this next spot, when it comes to the arms. The majority of people that I've taught, when they're washing their arms, guess what they do? They start from their wrists, and they go like this. But the problem is, look at her, she went like this. You know what this means? Astaghfirullah. I know what I'm doing, sister. This is not my first rodeo. Okay? They go like this. And the water's going like this. And they don't even wash their hands. And their idea is what? I washed my hands when? In the beginning. But is that the place of washing hands in wudu? No. The place of washing your hands in your wudu is after your face. Listen, if you didn't come here today, guess what would have happened? You would have gone 15 years, 20 years in your life, and you wouldn't have been doing wudu right. Just to be frank with you guys, this is the ignorance of our community. And I'm going to tell you something. The most dangerous thing, you get this on camera, the most dangerous thing to a Muslim is that Muslim thinking they know something that they actually don't. That's the biggest danger. Because they have this preconceived notion, oh, wudu, of course I know how to do wudu. It's like, where are you going today? Oh, I'm going to a workshop. On what? Wudu? It's like, you're ignorant. You don't know how to make wudu? No, I can guarantee you the majority of Muslims have problems with their wudu. Majority. I'm not saying minority. Majority. Okay, and then that person goes and leads us in salah. Right? They're going to go and they're going to lead us in salah. And their tahara is not even straight. So how do we wash our arms? From the tallest finger or the longest finger, which is usually the middle finger, all the way to past the elbow. Go like this. You see this line right here? So I'm flexing on you guys, huh? You see this line right here? That line right there. You see that? To there. That natural line. Go like that. That's where you need to be going up to. Past the elbow. Right past the elbow. Now, some people get lazy. They're wearing a tight shirt, and they're like, okay, that's good. No tahara. Sorry. Doesn't work. Not accepted. You got to pull it up. And if it's not pulling up, then what? Take it off. From here to here. Is that understood? How many times do we do that? 3 times. So now, follow me. Follow me. You're going to be back up here doing the da-da-da. Okay? No, not right now. I'm not done yet. Right? Okay? All right? But you're going to do it perfectly. Okay? So we said da, 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 da. Okay? So hands done. And then we do our head. Head, I call this the convertible. You guys know what a convertible is? You know the Ferrari, you know the Mustang, the Corvette, convertible. What is a convertible? Open, close. Is that right? So get your hands wet. 1, 2. That's it. That's it. Sometimes you have the brother in the masjid, it's like he's doing ghusl, putting his head in the sink. Shh. Brother, get a little bit of water and just 1, 2. That's it. What about the ears? Yeah, wait. We got to slow down. I'm going to da, and then da, and then da. Right? Okay? You don't want to forget the ears, ya akhi? All right. So you have the head and the ears. And I know our brothers, from Asia, they will say, well, he said, what about the ears? I was expecting him to say, what about the neck? A lot of people say, well, where's the neck, brother? There's no neck. Let's be frank. The strong opinion is there's no neck. There's no neck. Now, you're not going to get in an argument with the brothers, like he's making wudu beside you. Brother, why'd you do your neck? Astaghfirullah. Yeah, but the strong opinion is that the neck is not included. It is not included. Okay? So, convertible 1, 2. Now, some scholars, they say if you use used water, they say in Islam, there are 3 types of water. You should know this. Okay? There's pure and purifying, and impure. They say water is broken down into 3 types of water. Pure is like pure water. It could be from the rain, it could be from the river, it could be from the ocean, it could be melted snow. Okay? That's pure water. Pure and purifying means that it's not only pure, but it also has the component to remove ritual or physical impurities. Okay? And then there's impure water. Now, why can't there just be 2? Because some scholars, they say, why can't there just be 2? Pure and purifying and impure. Because some scholars say that if you use water to purify yourself once, it loses its quality of purification afterwards. So meaning you cannot reuse the same water to purify yourself. Now, that is an opinion, but I think the opinion that we want to go with today is that there's 2 types of water. Pure and purifying, and impure. Meaning any water that is pure, it is also what? Purifying. And any water that is impure and not what? Not purifying. Okay, let's just take it easy. We don't need to get into the nitty-gritty. Okay? So the reason why I didn't go directly into the ears is because some scholars will say what? You need to get new water. Do you understand? Because you already used that water to what? Purify your head. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? But if you do, it's fine, because usually they'll say 1, 2, like that. So your hair, and then your ears. So your top, your ears. How to do your ears? Everyone put your index fingers in your ears, and then take your thumb on the back. Like that. Index finger in the ear, and then thumb on the back. That's how you do it. Just like that. Like that. That's the sunnah. Okay? And that is done, what? Once. So that... I would say, if you want to avoid any difference of opinion, just wet your hands again and do it again. That's not a problem. But if you do it like that again, then that's absolutely fine as well. Right? Because both opinions are acceptable. When it comes to wudu here, personally, this is my personal position, I'm always taking the safer approach. Now why? Because everything that comes back after my tahara is connected to it. If the tahara is good, then the action that comes after it is what? Is good. But if it's compromised, then that could possibly compromise what? Everything afterwards. So for me, I always go with what is what? Safer. Okay? So I do. But if I don't, I say, it's okay. Right? I'm giving you the two positions. You can go at your own will. Okay? Taib. And then you do your feet. Give me one. Let me just finish wudu here. Now your feet, now please excuse me, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm going to raise my foot here. I'll do it on the chair. So this is the foot past the ankle. Your foot, your entire foot, this is where people get lazy, above the ankle. Everybody see this circle right here, this ankle? Above that. Above that. Okay? That whole foot has to be washed how many times? 3 times. Okay? That is how you make wudu. Come here. Assalamu alaikum. You want to teach me how to do wudu?
Yes, I think you should do.
All right, show me.
All right, this is how you do it. You go 1, 2, 3. And
Yeah.
You go hands.
Yeah?
And then you go for your head, which is
Yeah.
1, and then you do yours 2.
Yeah.
Your feet is 3.
Yeah, that's it. So sometimes when you give people, that's good. Sometimes when you give people something to remember, it resonates and it sticks with them. You understand what I'm saying? Right? 1, 2, 3. Hands. 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's wudu. You don't got to go and teach for hours and he forgot. He's just going to remember. 1, 2, 3. Hands. 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's it. So again, for those who are trying to teach people how to do tahara, simplify it. Simplify it. Okay? So I just want to mention one last thing when it comes to tahara, and that is the socks. Wiping over the socks. Okay? Now, in Islam, we are given the concession that we can wipe over a foot covering when it comes to our feet, our socks. So once we get to the final part, if we are wearing socks, then Islamically we have a concession where we can wipe over the socks. However, there are conditions that have to be met. Okay? What are these conditions? The first condition is that you would have had to put the sock on when you had wudu. Okay? You had wudu and you put the sock on. Number 2, the sock has to be above the ankle. Okay? Number 3 is the sock should not be transparent. What does transparent mean? See-through. Okay? And number 4, there should be no najasa on the sock. Okay? So I'm going to give you a scenario, and then you tell me whether or not this person is allowed to wipe over their sock instead of washing their foot. Okay? I wake up for school and I missed Fajr and I quickly got dressed, put my socks on, got on the school bus, and then I got to school and I'm like, I gotta pray Fajr. I go to the bathroom in the school and I begin to wash my hands. I begin to wash my hands and I do wudu. Can I wipe over my socks?
No.
Why?
Because you didn't have wudu before.
I didn't have wudu before. Okay? Let's say I get up, I make wudu, I put my socks on. They're my nice ankle socks. It's summer, it's hot outside. And then I lose my wudu, I go to the river and I want to make wudu. Can I wipe over my socks? Why not? Huh? Because they're below my ankles. Okay? Let's say I wake up and I go to the bathroom, I make wudu, I put my socks on all the way up. I go outside, I go out for my day. Dhuhr comes in, but I lost my wudu an hour ago. Can I wipe over my sock? Yes, I can wipe over my sock. I can wipe over my sock. And you can wipe over your sock for 24 hours if you are a resident. 24 hours. Which even means that if I wipe over my sock, let's say today, right now. Okay? Let's say I put my sock on now. And then I go to sleep at night and I kept my socks on the whole night. Can I wake up and wipe over my sock when I wake up? Huh? Yeah, I can. Why?
Because you had wudu before.
I had wudu before. And it was over my ankles. There's no najasa. And it is within that 24 hours time. You guys understand that? Do we understand that? So you can wipe over your sock as long as you made tahara, put him on when you were in a state of wudu. Even if you made tahara 2 hours ago, and you're still in a state of tahara and then you put your sock on, that's okay. It's not like you have to make tahara and then put them on right away. The point is that when you put them on, you are in a state of what? Tahara. Okay? Do we understand that, guys? Does that make sense? Does anybody need clarity on that? Okay. Now, ghusl. How do we perform ghusl? 3 steps. Yes, go ahead.
I just have a question, 2 questions. For women with longer hair, do you have to do your whole hair? And
No.
In public, do you have to make wudu over your hijab or under your hijab?
So there's a difference of opinion when it comes to wiping over the top of the hijab. There are some positions that say it is permissible for a woman to wipe over the top of her hijab if she had the same conditions as the sock. You understand? Meaning you put your hijab on when what? You were in a state of ritual purity. You would be able to wipe over the hijab. But what you could also do instead of taking it off, even some of the madhab, they say 1 hair. If water touches even 1 hair, you have fulfilled what? The obligation of wiping over the head. So even if you weren't comfortable with wiping over you could simply take your hand, lift it, and what? That's it. You understand? Okay? It's not about, oh my God, it's so hard to re-put it back on, and it takes time. Right? Go ahead.
When you're washing your feet and your arms, do you start with right? And then
Yes, so that's a good point. The sunnah is to always start with the right side. In everything. In everything that is pure and good, you always start with your right. Okay? All right, do we understand this, guys? We understand this? Okay, alhamdulillah. Ghusl, we're going to do ghusl, and we're going to do tayammum, and then we're going to take a break. And then we're going to finish this, and then we're going to move on to physical purity, and that will be it for today. Okay, guys? Bismillah. Ghusl is 3 steps. Intention, wudu, and water. What does that mean? I could explain like all more, like I could explain. Why do you think I'm just giving you 1 words? Go ahead.
It's everything that's like implemented while you're doing ghusl.
Good, but why am I not explaining intention? Why am I not like writing it down more? Why am I not explaining it? Go ahead.
Because with like intention, it's just like what you intend.
No. You guys are missing a big point here. No. Go ahead. Yes. Because number 1, I don't want to overcomplicate things, and the only thing that now you're going to need to memorize is 3 words when it comes to ghusl. Do you understand that? So all you need to memorize is 3 words. It's not like first you need to do this, and first you need to, and then all you memorize is 3 words. Intention, wudu, water. That's it. Just like do, hands, do. Intention, wudu, water. Intention, wudu, water. Intention, who and what. In Islam, if you ever want to formulate an intention, these are the 2 things you need to recognize. Who and what. Who am I doing it for? And what am I actually doing? That's how you establish an intention. You recognize those 2 things. You understand that? People struggle with their intention. You say, I can't get my intention right. I don't know if I was doing it right. You just need to understand these 2 things from within. Who am I doing this for? And what exactly am I doing? That's it. Once you recognize those 2 things, you've established an intention. Who and what. So who, I'm doing this for the sake of Allah. What, I am performing major ritual purity. Because there's been some seminal emission, I'm finished my menstruation cycle, I've just accepted Islam, my finished my postnatal bleeding. Who and what? Okay? Is the intention verbalized? No. The only time in Islam where intentions are verbalized is when you're performing Hajj and Umrah. That's the only time where you verbalize your intention out loud. Other than that, intention is established by recognizing these two components. Who and what? Who am I doing it for? And what action am I actually performing? Wudu. Step 2 is what? Wudu. Who can show me wudu quickly? Come here, you little girl. Come here. Come here, you're going to get pizza real quick. Turn around. Look at this young lady, our youngest student here. Okay, show me how to make wudu. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Hands. 1, 2. Allah, God, I love this girl. Come here. MashaAllah. Takbir. Go sit down. Right? Right? She probably knew how to make wudu before this, but the point is now she can effectively make wudu in a way where she can teach someone like what? 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Hands. 1, 2, 3. Done. Okay? So wudu has to happen in the shower. Okay? So let's give you this scenario. And then water, number 3. Water has to touch every part of your body. So let's give you the scenario. Seminal emission, menstruation, fornication, postnatal bleeding, acceptance of Islam. One of those scenarios happened. Jum'ah. Now, is Jum'ah mandatory? No. It's mustahab, sunnah mu'akkada. You should. Right? But if you don't have ghusl, you say it's Jum'ah, I'm not going to go Jum'ah because I didn't have ghusl. Is that right? No. Okay? Eid, is it mandatory? No, sunnah mu'akkada. These 5 that I told you, that is when it is mandatory. Okay? These 5 situations. So I wake up, I'm in a state of major ritual impurity. Major ritual impurity. I get into the shower, and what happens? I begin to take a normal shower. Normal shower. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, showering. Now I realize, okay, I need to make what? Ghusl. So ghusl will always be at the beginning of your shower, at the end of your shower. At the end of your shower. Right? Because you're in the shower, shampoo, conditioner, does that have anything to do with your ghusl? No, that's you physically keeping your body what? Clean. Now you're saying, okay, this shower is going to turn to a form of worship by my intention. You say to yourself, I'm doing this for Allah and I'm performing major ritual purity. Okay? What do? Intention. In the shower, you make your wudu. 1, 2, 3. Hands. 1, 2, 3. And then you make sure that the water touches every part of your body. Crevice. I had brothers. This brother knows, he's laughing. And, it's really strange. There's a lot of people who think about me in Jum'ah. A lot of people in this world who think about me the morning of Jum'ah. And it's kind of awkward, but they're remembering me in the shower. Because when I tell them, even your belly button. So every time they get to their belly button in the shower, guess who they think of? They think of my brother's like, I swear it's been years. I've taught him since he was a kid. He's like now married and has kids. And he says, every time I take ghusl, I'm thinking about you in the shower. I don't know how to get it out of my head. I say, well, what can you do? Make dua for me, brother. Right? But that's what it is. Every part of your body. The crevices, the cracks, the holes, everywhere. Is that understood? Now, what was another reason why we have to be careful with the wudu or with the ghusl in the shower? Is that when we are cleaning our bodies, we want to avoid touching what? the private part. Because we said that there is a strong position that the bare hand touching the private part is a nullifier of wudu. So that's why in the beginning you take your shower. You clean everything. And then everything else you avoid afterwards with the ghusl. You just allow the water to what? Touch those areas. Is that understood? So you navigate, sometimes you have the thing you pull off, you can pull it off, that's easy. But if not, you navigate from your right, from the top to bottom, and then your left. That's sunnah. But the fard is making sure that the water touches every part of your body. Then you get out of the shower, and then you dry yourself, making sure, and you avoid what? Touching the private areas. So 3 steps: intention, wudu, and water all over the body. And this is done before the shower, or like at the beginning of the shower, at the end of the shower? At the end of the shower. Go ahead.
Or if like you, let's say, you forget to make your intention in the beginning and in the middle you're like...
Okay, so he says something, what if you forget your intention? Let me tell you something. That's a trick of the shaitan. Many of the scholars will say there's no action that is performed except that there's an intention behind it. When you put your shoes on to come here today, did you make the intention, I'm putting my shoes on today because I need to protect my feet from the roads outside and the pebbles and the harms? Or did you just put your shoes on? You just put your shoes on. But was there an intention behind that action? There is. When you put your clothes on today, were you like, I need to put my shirt on in order to make sure that I'm covering my awrah? Or did you just put it on naturally? But was there an intention behind it ultimately? Yeah. Shaitan, he likes to manipulate people, especially when it comes to their tahara. Say, you didn't have your intention. So the guy's in the bathroom for 2 hours because he can't get what? His intention right. And I personally know people in this community who are suffering from this. They suffer. And they're literally in the bathroom for an hour to the point where they miss the salah because they can't convince themselves that they established what? An intention. So if you woke up and you had a wet dream, or you had intercourse, or you were finished your menstruation, and you're going to the shower, what is taking you to the shower? The intention. That's why the verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, idha qumtum ila salati, faghsilu wajhu. They say the qiyam, idha qumtum, meaning if you get up to purify yourself. That's the intention, the scholars they say. The getting up is the establishing of the intention, because you wouldn't be getting up unless you had a intention. You understand what I'm saying? Don't let shaitan manipulate you. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like you had to have this moment where you're like, who and what? Yes. Okay, move forward. No, you naturally recognize that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? It should naturally be there. Okay? But if you're struggling, then recognize those 2 things. Who and what? But if you're already in the shower, brother, chances are that the reason you're in the shower is because you had the intention while you were undressing to what? Ritually purify yourself. You understand what I'm saying? Inshallah. Okay, now tayammum, okay, is 3 things as well. Intention, face, and hands. 3 things. You've learned everything I've taught you today can be summarized in 10 seconds. You want me to summarize it? Okay? 1, 2, 3, hands. 1, 2, 3. Intention, wudu, water. Intention, face, hands. That's all you need to memorize today. That's all you need to memorize today. Because what's beautiful about these things is I've given you 3 reference points. And when you remember 1, 2, 3, hands, 1, 2, 3. You're not only going to remember wudu, but you're going to remember the nullifiers of wudu because you've associated it with that. So it's a reference point. That's what knowledge is. It's not about remembering everything. It's remembering main points or reference points. And then by remembering those reference points, you automatically what? Remember, did I look at a book here? Though any time. Did I look at any book while I've been teaching you guys? Did I look at any slide? Did I need to review some? Oh, here, let me do this. No, because when I remember one reference point, I remember what comes with it. And remember another reference point, I remember what comes with it. And remember the third reference point, I remember what comes with it. So all I need to do is remember one reference point. And when we do this again, maybe in a few weeks, inshallah, if Allah wills, then we will go over this again. And we'll see how good that reference point actually is. Okay? So intention. The intention with tayammum is not only am I doing tayammum, but am I doing it to remove major impurity or minor impurity? You understand what I'm saying? So tayammum is an act that we perform when we have no water. Maybe I'm stranded, maybe there's a drought, maybe I'm not going to be able to make it back into the city and find water. I'm driving and I'm in the middle of the prairies and there's nowhere to find water. And if I don't keep driving, I'm not going to make it for salah. I'm going to miss my salah, right? If I continue driving, I have to pull over and I have to pray. So tayammum is a form of purification that is performed when a person cannot find water. How is it performed? And there's a lot to this. Is me we spent maybe a few months learning about tayammum in detail. And I'm teaching it to you guys in 30 seconds. This is not giving justification to it, but again, this is an introduction. So tayammum, I'm in my car, or I'm on a hike, and I'd have no water, or the little water that I do have, I need it to what? Drink, right? Or maybe there's a river down the hill, down the mountain, but if I go down the river, I could potentially what? Cause harm to myself, right? So Islam's not saying go kill yourself to get some water, right? You know what I mean? Mountain climbing just to get some water. No, Islam doesn't require that from me. If it's dangerous, if I need it to survive, some of the scholars, they even say if there is water presented to you, but the seller is selling it at a price that is unacceptable or unreasonable, then you don't have to what? Buy it. So he's saying $50 for this. And you're like, $50? I don't have that money for a bottle. He's like, well, listen. He's taking advantage of you, right? So they say in a situation where it becomes haraj, difficulty, then it no longer becomes a condition, mandatory. So generally speaking, water is not available, right? Does that mean, well, I don't need to pray? No, you have to pray. So how do you perform tayammum? Or let's say, for example, I can't use water. Maybe I have burns all over my body. Or maybe I have a laceration on my body and I can't get it wet. You understand? Or I came out of surgery, or whatever the situation is. I'm just unable to have water on my body. So how would I perform tahara? Very simple. Intention. Is it for minor? Or is it for major? We understand what situations, what we need, what caused it. Hit any type of soil. It could be dust, it could be soil, it could be sand. In some situations, I would even say, in worst case situation, I could perform tayammum on this floor. You want to know why? Well, we do a good job here, mashallah. But usually there's what? Dust. A little bit of dust. Right? A little bit of dust. So you would hit your hands on anywhere where you could find pure dust, dirt, rubble, sand, okay? And you would take your hands. Why do you do this? Because it's not about getting dirt and on your face and say, oh, mashallah. No, it's a ritual. It is a what? It's a ritual. It's what it is. It's a ritual. It's not cleaning you, but it's a ritual that allows you to perform worship. So, one, clean it off, face, hands. That's it. You know, some of the madhahib will say no, up to your elbows, but we will say face, hands, up to the what? Wrists. Okay, everybody, let's do it quickly. Dirt, clean it off, face, hands. Allahu Akbar. I can go pray now. That's it. So God has facilitated for us 3 main ways where we can what? Purify ourselves. We understand the 3 ways. We understand the reasons we have to use one of these 3 ways and how we perform these acts. Is that clear? Is that clear? Khalas. Why don't you guys take some time, inshallah? What time is it right now? It's 9 o'clock? Perfect. So let's take 15 minutes and then we're going to take 25 minutes for the remaining portion of the class, inshallah. Okay? So 15 minutes for the pizza and then until the adhan of Maghrib, inshallah. Go ahead.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is it true that if you don't say Bismillah when you make wudu, your wudu is not accepted?
No. So that is, the Basmillah, as they call it, is a sunnah. It is encouraged. But what is mandatory is found in Surah Al-Ma'idah, I believe verse 5 of Surah Al-Ma'idah. The pillars of wudu are mentioned. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا وَجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ وَامْسِحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. So that is the pillars. O you who believe, if you stand for prayer, what is standing? Intention. فَاغْسِلُوا وَجُوهَكُمْ. What did they start with first? Your face. Did they start with your hands first? No. Because the hands are what? Sunnah. And then he says, وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ. To your hand to your elbow. وَامْسِحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. Then wipe your heads. وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. So 5 things are mandatory. If you want to ask me about one of these 5 things that are mandatory. Your intention, the washing of your face, and some of the scholars, well, one madhab specifically, will say the washing of the face includes mouth and nose. But the stronger opinion, even though that's the opinion that I follow, the stronger opinion is that the face is just the face. You don't necessarily have to put in your mouth and in your nose. Okay? But there is a madhab that will say, no, mouth and the nose is part of the face. Okay? But the majority will say, no, the face is the face. And that's the pillar. Not the mouth, not the nose. So you have intention, the face, the hands, from where to where? We know where. From here to there. The wiping of the head and the washing of the feet. Anything else that is omitted is taking away from the reward, but it is not taking away from the validity. You understand? If you take one of those 5 things away, then you can say it's not valid. Okay?
Both sides, hands is both sides?
Both sides. Yes, sir.
And like the tayammum, like it can be done for ghusl as well as...
Yeah, that goes back to the intention though. You have to formulate that intention.
Yeah, no, I mean like I have the intention, right? And then like the face and the hands. So what I'm trying to say is, so is that equivalent to...
Absolutely.
wudu as
So,
well as ghusl?
yes, the only difference is the intention.
Intention, okay.
Yeah. Why you're doing it. One is because you urinated and the other one is because there was seminal emission. So you're saying this tayammum is in place of ghusl or in place of wudu. Or this ghusl, even better, the better recognition they say, is this is to remove major ritual purity, and this is to remove minor ritual purity. Major is ghusl, minor is wudu. Okay?
So I think for the socks is 3 times 2 or is 1 time?
So socks? Socks is done once. And how do you do it? You get your hands wet, like this, and the best way to do it is both at the same time, like that. Imam Ali radiallahu anh, he says, if this religion was about logic, you would be wiping what? The bottom instead of the top. But we don't use in terms of worship, God says use your logic. But in terms of rituals, we pray the way God tells us to pray. We worship the way God worships. We purify ourselves the way God told us to purify ourselves. You understand? Someone saying, well, I think it's better we wash the bottom of our foot instead of the top. It makes more sense. No, we don't do that when it comes to acts of worship. You understand? So it's done once, and it's done like this. And you don't want to drench your sock because it becomes very counterproductive, especially if your foot is in your shoe the whole day. A wet sock in a shoe a whole day is only going to cause what when they come into the masjid? Stink. It's disgusting. Right? So you don't want to drench your sock in water. You just want to make sure you're taking a little bit of water, the same amount of water that you would use to what? Wipe over your head. Wipe it, and then up like that, past the ankle, and then you're done. Okay? Great. Bismillah, go ahead guys, enjoy, inshallah. We'll resume in 10 minutes, inshallah. Okay? 10 minutes. So at this point, what I would like to do is move on to physical purity. So we covered ritual purity, right? We understand ritual purity, the 3 ways to ritually purify ourselves, and the different ways that nullify those ritual purities, right? We understand that. Let's move forward now to physical purity. Here, we're going to get this done in 20 minutes. Bismillah. All right, physical purity. As mentioned previously, in order to be able to perform acts of worship, we have to have both physical and ritual purity. Okay? All right? All right, anyways. Physical purity consists of 3 places. The body, the clothes, and the place of worship. Or we can just even for body, clothes, place. 3. Body, clothes, place. And then we have to be pure from what we call najasat. Najasat means impurities. Physical impurities. What are the main physical impurities? Large amounts of blood, urine, stool. Some scholars will say the saliva of dogs, or they will say the sweat of dogs. Carcass, do you guys know what a carcass is? You guys know what a carcass is? Like roadkill? a dead animal's body that you find in the forest or on the road, that's a carcass, that is also a form of major impurity. What I want to do now though, is I want to focus maybe on these ones. Why do I want to focus on these ones? Because these are the ones we come across on a daily basis. Okay? This means, in order to have physical purity, I cannot have any of these substances on my body, on my clothes, or the place in which I am worshiping. Okay? Do you understand this? This becomes very important when we use the washroom. Islam is such a comprehensive religion that it even teaches us how to use the bathroom. That's how comprehensive our faith is. I could stand on the minbar tomorrow and give a khutbah about how to use the bathroom. And that's part of our faith. That's how comprehensive our religion is. It talks about everything. That's why it's a way of life. When I use the bathroom, there's etiquette. I walk in with my left foot. I make dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal-khabath. Maybe we can study the etiquette of using the bathroom later on, but for the point of tahara, we have to get to how we use the bathroom. Number one, as a man, Islamically, I do not use the urinal. I will go as far as saying it is haram to use the urinal. Now, why? Because when I use the urinal, number one, I am revealing my awrah in public. We live in a society now where people, they stand at the urinals and they look at one another and it's a joke. No, this is the society that we live in. And they talk to each other while they're what? Using the washroom. Not even an animal speaks with another animal when it is using the washroom. These are animals. That's because it's innate inside of us not to act in such a way. Number two is because when you, no, slide it, slide, yeah, push it. No, slide it. Slide, go like this. There you go. Right? Okay. He should have listened to what I said before I went in there. Anyways, okay. This is where we go. All right? So, urinal, when you're urinating in the urinal, what's bound to happen? Splashback. Splashback. You know how nasty in front of the urinal is? You know, when you're standing there, you're standing in najasa. Right? And then you're going to walk into the masjid, or you're going to walk into an area and you're going to pray with your shoes. What? On. Right? We have to understand where we are. So it's going to splash back, and where is it going to get? On my clothes. I don't see it, but there's enough splashback that it gets on my clothes. Even using the bathroom standing up, we should avoid that. If you need to urinate and you're a man, you should sit down. Sit down. Unless, because there are two narrations. There's a narration of Aisha radiallahu anha who said, I never saw the Prophet stand when he is urinating. But then there's another narration that says, I saw the Prophet ﷺ standing while urinating in a, almost like a dump. But they even say in a soft spot. A soft spot. So, how do we reconcile between both narrations? Where one is saying he didn't stand and the other one is saying he did. We have to understand the objective of using the bathroom. If by using the bathroom standing, it's going to keep you pure, then you stand. Now, what does that mean? Have you ever been to a porta potty? You know what a porta potty is? You see them on construction sites or at, campsites. They're clean, right? No, they're disgusting. Filthy. If you sit down using the toilet, you're probably going to get more impurity on you than what? Standing. So in that situation, the objective is to remain what? Pure. So you stand. Because that is what meets the objective of cleanliness. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So what you do is you take the toilet paper, you put it in, and then you urinate standing. Why? What's the toilet paper going to do? It's going to prevent the kickback. Isn't that right? It's going to prevent the kickback. But the general position, if you're at home or you're in the masjid, how are you going to use the bathroom? Sitting down. Sitting down. Okay? Now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that when we use the bathroom, the minimum amount that we wipe ourselves front and back is 3 times. Front and back. Minimum 3 times. Your front area and your back area, each 3 times minimum. Water is preferred, but it is not what? Mandatory. You have to understand, it's not mandatory. Even at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the most scarce thing that they had was what? It's not like we're living now. That's why there's minimum of wiping yourself. How many times? Even if you do not what? No, find anything. Do you understand that? If you wipe 1 time, you don't see anything there, you say, well, there's nothing there. You still what? Wipe 3 times. And in the front, you wipe 3 times as well, the urine. Now, why do you wipe yourself 3 times front and back? You do that because if you pull your undergarments up and you go and pray, most likely the urine or the stool will leave mark on your what? On your clothes. And if it's not on your clothes, then it'll be on your body. So minimum 3. Preferred water. Is that understood? So in your home, you should have water. You should have, a little bidet. You either have a bidet, sometimes you have the actual electric ones that work. They're installed into your bathroom. Sometimes you just have a jug. You'll see that, a jug. And you'll find them even in the masjid as well. You have the spray.
Yeah, the bum gun.
The bum gun, that's a good one. I like that one, bum gun, right? Right? The bum gun 3000, right? Right? Will clean you in under 3 seconds. The sunnah way. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, that's there. The way you use the bathroom has a direct correlation with the validity of your prayer. Because if you keep that impurity on your body or your clothes, even if you made ritual purity, guess what? Guess what? The prayer is still what? Invalid. Because you didn't have the physical purity. Okay? Large amounts of blood. So let's say I'm playing soccer with the boys and I slide and I get a little scrape. Can I pray? Yeah, I can pray. What if I'm standing in prayer and my nose starts to just bleed? What do I need to do? I need to step out of wudu. I need to step out of prayer. I need to remove the impurity, the large amount of blood, and I need to make wudu again. But I need to teach you guys something here, okay? Now, I'm going to finish with this. And this is something that people don't understand. And I'm going to prove people don't understand. If I get urine and stool on my body, do I have to make wudu again? Yes, right? No, you don't. Listen to me. There's a difference between najasa coming on you and najasa coming out of you. Do we understand this? We need to understand this. When this stuff right here comes on me, I still have wudu. My job now is to remove this impurity until there's no color, smell, or taste. That is how you know an impurity has been removed. Color, smell, or taste. But if these things come out of me, then guess what has happened? I lost my wudu. When I told you about wudu, did I say anything that comes on you, or did I say anything that comes out of you, solid, liquid, or gas? Out of you. So if I'm changing my child's diaper, and my child gets stool on my hand, did I break my wudu? No, because it came on me. It didn't come out of me. Okay? But if I use the bathroom and it comes out of me, then I have to make wudu. Is that understood, guys? So the najasa, if it comes on you, you remove it until there's no color, smell, or taste. And if it comes out of you, you either have to perform, wudu. You have to perform wudu. Is that understood? Is that understood, guys? So physical purity is about taking care of the body, the clothes, and the place of worship from these impurities. Okay? If these impurities come out of us, not only do we need to clean them, but we also need to make what? Wudu. If they come on us, then we have to do what? We have to wash them off until when? Taste, color, or smell. Because that's how you know that something has been completely what? Removed. Go ahead. Taste is included because I'm telling you, those are the factors that people recognize. I'm not saying go take your underwear and start tasting your underwear. Yeah, what's wrong with you, bro? But the point here is I'm trying to make is that those are usually the signs that something have been what? Removed. You understand what I'm saying? All right? Okay. I think for today, guys, that's an overload of information, but it needed to be what? Said. This is just, I'm telling you, this is just the surface. This is just like, you know when you have the jawbreaker, you just took this big, all you did today was you took one lick, you tasted it. You've tasted it. Now you understand, it tastes good, but there's still layers to all of this. Is that understood? There's still layers. There's so much to learn. But this is just a general, condensed, version of introduction to tahara. Okay? I hope inshallah ta'ala you learned at least one thing today. And if you did, it was well worth it inshallah ta'ala. All right? Are there any questions before the adhan of Maghrib? Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what about lustful actions?
Lustful actions.
Yeah, does that break your wudu?
Does that break your wudu? So there's a difference of opinion amongst the scholars. Generally, so there is a difference of opinion. Okay? Some will say, like, it's a spectrum. Like some scholars will say just touching a woman or touching a man would break your wudu. That is some of the madhahib. Okay? Some of them will say, so there's three, just touching will break. Some of them will say, touching without desire will not break. But touching with desire will break. And then some will say even touching with desire will not break unless there is what? Some type of seminal emission. Or the touching of the two private areas. Okay? So, if you ask me personally, what position do I take? I'm not going to tell you what's right and what's wrong. They're all correct, depending on what position you're going to take. But if you ask me the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is known to have been kissing his wife before he goes to pray. He'll kiss his wife Aisha before he goes and prays. right? Did he go and make wudu? Not necessarily. But the question is, was that a lustful kiss or was it a kiss of love? And there's a difference. We have to understand there's a very big difference between a lustful kiss and a kiss, a peck on the cheek or a peck on the lips. Assalamu alaikum, I'll see you when I get back. Right? So the middle approach is to avoid lust. That is the middle approach in terms of all four of these positions. Right? So for me, that is the safest route. That is the safest route. Right? But I'm going to tell you something. In Islam, the greatest area of difference of opinions is in wudu, is in tahara and salah. All other acts of worship like hajj and transactions and zakat and inheritance and other sciences and branches of sciences, there is not as much difference of opinion amongst the scholars than when it comes to purification and salah. So I know you probably wanted me to give you a straight up answer, but I'm going to respect all school of thoughts, and I'm going to say whatever position you take is acceptable from those positions, right? And then I've given you the one that I personally follow, okay? And like that's the same thing with the touching of the private part. Because there's a hadith where a person says, does touching the private part break my wudu? The Prophet ﷺ said, it's a part of your body like every other part of your body. Meaning, no. You touch your ear, do you break your wudu? You touch your arm, do you break your wudu? And then there's another narration that says, when the hand touches the private area, it nullifies the wudu. Some will say, that is with what? Desire. Some will say, no, we'll take it, the hadith for face value. So each of them are respected because the scholars did their proper approach and their proper deduction of the tradition, and they've come up with their rulings. So whatever ruling we choose to follow is acceptable, but I've given you my position. Yeah. And that's because I always like to take what is safest. But I don't believe that if I touch a woman, my wudu is broken. Right? Because, even in tawaf around the Kaaba, good luck. Good luck. It's impossible. And tawaf requires you to have tahara. You understand? So that's why I did not go to that end. Yeah. Okay? Yeah?
Jeff, can you go back over the minimum amount of times for each of the washing?
Okay. So, washing of the hands is sunnah. You can do that 3 times. Okay, you know what I would rather you do? I would rather you read them off to me on this. This is, can you send, I sent you this?
I'll forward it to him.
Okay, this right here is going to be sent to you all. It's a booklet, it's a PDF, probably one of the best resources for new Muslims and even practicing Muslims about salah and wudu. Everything in the salah is written in transliteration, in Arabic and in English. The steps of wudu are found here, the steps of ghusl are found here, the details of the prayer are found in here. If I had this when I started practicing Islam, this would have saved me a lot. This is probably one of the best resources, inshallah ta'ala. So I would rather you just go over this, inshallah ta'ala. But generally speaking, it's washing the hands 3 times, the mouth 3 times, the nose 3 times, the face 3 times, the arms 3 times, the head once, the ears once, and the feet 3 times. Yeah. Once is this, by the way. That's 1. That's not 2. That's 1. Okay? Understood? Understood? Okay. Anything else? Anything else, guys? Okay, I think we'll call it a night, inshallah ta'ala. Subhanakallahum bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazakumullahu khairan, guys. Inshallah, in the summer, inshallah, we will have a second session bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Okay? This summer bi'idhnillah. We'll have another session here in the youth center bi'idhnillah. Jazakumullahu khairan, and we'll see you guys soon, inshallah. All right.